Hey everybody, welcome into Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host Expat, along with my co-host Burley, who is on the bridge with me again. How you doing, Burley? Doing good?
Doing good. How are you, Expat?
I'm doing good, man. So we're going to be talking about episode 5 of Star Trek Strange New World Season 2, mid-season of Season 2. So we're going to talk about all 5 of the episodes and have a discussion like which is our favorite, which is our least favorite, and kind of speculate also about the next 5 episodes of the season. So yeah, our mid-season live stream of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 is going to be coming this Saturday. So Burley, you excited for that?
Oh, I'm very excited. Can't wait to talk about this. So what we've experienced this whole season and what we've got coming for the rest of the season.
Yes. Get notifications for when we go live on that this coming Saturday. So yeah, looking forward to that. So good stuff. All righty. All right. So now it's time to get into the discussion about charades. So yeah, Burley, another great episode. It was fun to watch. So of course, Nurse Chapel, she's going to be going on this, kind of like a 2-month seminar, kind of like that's sponsored by the Vulcan Science Academy, and you see everybody there. They've got their downtime and everything as they're heading off to the Vulcan system. So and then of course Spock, he gets into the turbo lift and his emotional non-emotional state, and then he's trying to take cooking lessons from Pike. So what did you think of the opening parts of this episode with all the downtime as they're getting heading towards the Vulcan system? I think at subwarp they were going so that they could extend their journey there to have some downtime.
I like this. It was just a nice moment because you've got stuff from that were earlier in the season. Like I think with the first episode, they were setting up with Nurse Chapel, with her doing this thing with Vulcan. So now you get to start to see it playing out, and her doing her last minute, preparing, for it.
Yeah. So
sorry.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
And then you've got the other side of Spock. You can tell he's a little just like Pike is trying to just get him to relax a little,
right?
And then we find out in a little bit here there's trouble with his relationship with Dupree.
Yeah. Well, basically he's going to go on this mission to this moon that used to be inhabited by the Kirkovians. So an ancient civilization. And so they're on the shuttlecraft, obviously, and Nurse Chapel joins them, of course. And so, yeah, they come into a bad situation here. And basically they have to fly into this, it looks like a distortion in space here, in space-time. And, of course, Spock cannot maneuver away from it. And so it looks like they're going to die here. It's like their final moments together. But then, obviously, Spock wakes up on a bio bed back on the Enterprise. Obviously, the shuttle was, close to the Enterprise afterwards. And then Spock, he wakes up and he finds out that he's human. So I love this part, man. He's about to say, holy beep, and stuff like that at the very beginning before the opening credits and all. But
he goes, what the
beep? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they do that, and I like that of him just realizing he's human.
Yeah,
and he's just like the anger. He's got just so anger that he's full human. I love it.
It is basically he's like a teenager, and then here in the image you see the what the Kirkovians had left behind, and they're able to communicate with them, and they're telling Pike and the others that, well, we fixed Spock, so there's nothing else left to do. But the problem is, because Nurse Chapel is 100% human, they thought that Spock should be 100% human too, so that's why he became human when they fixed him, because he was injured and we're gonna find out later in the episode about why Nurse Chapel was not really injured, but yeah. So I just love how Spock's dealing with these emotions. I mean, he's like a teenager, it's like bursts of anger, and then bursts of laughter as he's here with his crewmates in the bar, and then of course with Pike cooking and just downing the bacon. And I just love that part,
And I love that when he's and like Pike's like, slow down. No, I'm making up for lost time. I love that.
Exactly. And then this with Kirk, because Kirk's making a mess on the table, and then he of course he downs the cocktail there, and everybody's like looking at him strangely, But I just love that part where he's about to go off on Kirk, He's like, clean up your mess, and he's like, I'm gonna take you out, dude, It's like
I love that, and the Kirk guy's like, whoa.
Yeah. So you're gonna see that image here in a second. Yeah, I mean, he just goes like complete rage mode, man. And there he is, and it's like, oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I love that part. It was so good. And then the part with La'an here, like La'an's trying to teach him, defense the best you can, and then he's like looking at her, kind of looking at her, and then she's like, oh my god, and then he's like, oh, and I feel embarrassed now. I thought that was really good. And then she like walks away. She's like, oh my god, So, and then Nurse Chapel, of course, is trying to figure out a way to cure Spock to no avail. And then this guy at the Vulcan Science Academy, what a dick. He's like, you have to memorize like the whole year's worth of text and everything, and it just okay.
You have to memorize it to be considered, not you're gonna get in, just to be considered for the nomination. And I love it. Like, she's chatting and trying to plead her case. She's like, oh, you did this as well? I will read it and come back to you.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, she must have knew at that point. There's no way in hell I'm going to be going to this program, So anyway, Spock's mother comes on board, and I love the ski cap here. It's like it's standard issue. It's like, and then Pike's like, "Hey, I have one myself." It's like poor Pike. I mean, in this episode, he's kind of like being dragged along.
Well, like, he just takes hits in this episode.
Yeah,
and he's like, he's just trying to be a good captain, good host, and everything.
Hi, Mom. Yeah,
just take it. And then I love it. He's trying to be like, when you're a teenager and you're lying to your parents, where you think you can try and get your way, but your face says guilty.
Yeah.
She could just immediately tell there's stuff wrong with him. I love it.
Yeah. And then the mother's trying to teach him how to perform the Vulcan rituals and all, because now his human emotional side is taken over, and it's like she can hold this scolding hot pot, whereas Spock is like, how can you do that? It's like, well, if you've lived on Vulcan for so long, you can learn how to do this. And then it's like the crew here is trying to teach him how to react like a Vulcan and use facial expressions and all again. So and then
the mind meld and all that.
Yeah. And then Nurse Chapel, she gets the idea of going back to the Krakowians and trying to get them to give her the cure for Spock. And she's got to persuade them to fly the shuttle again. And then T'Pring comes on board, and I love this when she's talking about, 3 hours we were talking about this dress, and then she mentioned something about how some civilizations they eat their young, and then Spock's like, and then she like turns around, and it's like, Spock, you must be perfect in this, or everything's gonna go to hell, basically. It's just he's like, okay, So, but yeah, I mean, the thing I really like about this episode is, the having to deal with these bigoted parents, and the discrimination between Vulcans and humans still persist. And it's something that we should think of in our own world, in our own societies that we live in, especially those that are in international relationships, like international marriages, and the struggles that they go through. I mean, I can attest to that because, being an American and being married to a Japanese living in Japan, it can be difficult at times. So I can completely understand what Spock's mother has had to go through living on Vulcan for all of those years and raising Spock, you know. So, but I love this part here. It's like, he's like the mother's like saying, how, he is a failure and everything. And then he goes, I have to go to the bathroom. And then he goes to the bathroom and he's just like, ah,
takes the towel and screams at it. We've all done it. We've all done it. I'll admit I've done it. I've screamed into shit because like I've had to walk away and scream and stuff. But like the parents are so like, well, the Spring's parents, the father's not so bad, but the father's such a weak. He just won't, stand up to his wife. His wife is all, basically, she's basically being like, you must be pure Vulcan. Can't have any humanity or anything. You got to be 100% Vulcan. Like I love like Captain Pike comes in and makes this traditional meal, and the father is enjoying it, and he's like me. He's like, wow, this is good. And she looks at that color is not that. He's like, well, I don't have the heat like Vulcan, so I had to do this to be creative and get it close. So he's like, oh, that's good. And he's like, but it is not actually this dish.
Yeah, but throughout this episode, though, you knew who was the boss of that family. I mean, it's like she's the ball and chain, basically, It's like,
Yeah.
It's like everything she says, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. It's like, yeah. So now, in this scene here, I've got to pause it because I really want to talk about this. Obviously, on the shuttle, Spock decided to change the shielding to the, of course, to the side where Nurse Chapel was sitting on, so that it would protect her, because it was the logical thing, because most likely the Vulcan physiology would be able to withstand more of the impact and the pressure or the radiation, and so he was basically going to sacrifice himself for her. And before she injects the hypo spray, because the Krakowians had given her the the cure, and when the three of them were in the interdimension there talking to the Krakowians, I mean, she's like, oh, he's my friend, and it's like, is it Uhura and Ortegas? There's like, come on, man, come on, just tell them you love him, just tell them that you have feelings for him. And it's like, and then she's like a kid, she's like, turn around, like, come on, man.
I love how they turn around, but they also like turn their head to the side to also see it happen where she's saying it.
Yeah. But anyway, I love this part at the end before she, just quickly injects him with the hypo spray. I mean, she's, like wanting to know why he did that. And after she injects him with the hypo spray, obviously you see his facial expression, just simultaneously turn back to the Vulcan, way. And it kind of reminds me in a way of like, how the Borg would inject the nanoprobes into somebody and then they would obviously become a Borg. It's like she kind of I think she felt that way when she injected Spock, in the sense that, he has his humanity now. And that's something, in the relationship we saw building in season 1. She wanted him to become more human, to understand his human side. And then she injects him with the hypo spray, and he loses that sense of human feeling. He goes back to that Vulcan way. So I when she did that, I was thinking of, like when the Borg would inject nanoprobes into the humans, and then the humans would lose or all the other species would lose their individuality. Well, in this sense, she felt bad as she was leaving the room, and you could see she was kind of starting to cry because she in a sense was taking away all of these intense feelings that he was starting to feel as being 100% human, you know even though he was struggling with them and feeling conflicted about it. So I thought this was one of the most powerful scenes of the episode. What did you think, Burley?
Oh, I agree 100%. Like the power and the raw emotion in those scenes, which is so good. And it's like this is what I love with it. And you do Star Trek right. You get the writing well. You get good character and emotional moments like this. And we've been kind of building with this stuff earlier in the season, because the opener with when she was damaged and hurt, and he was having his healing emotions there, his human emotions coming out, and the doctor says hey, no, you don't need to suppress this is good, feel them. And he's been Spock, he's been trying to hold it and just put it down. He's got to be the Vulcan in him.
But I love this scene where he just, at the end of the ceremony, this situation, he just confronts the mother, T'Pring's mother, and basically, was getting upset with her over the fact that, hey, this whole ceremony basically was performed by a human, but you're saying humans cannot perform this. And then he mentions his mother and the fact that she's been chastised by Vulcans all of her time living on Vulcan. But she, of course, has persevered, and the fact that her being emotional as a human, it's a strength and not a weakness. And so for the Vulcans chastising her for that is their weakness. And I really like this, and how Spock stood up for his mother in this situation. And of course it left obviously T'Pring and her family kind of sitting there stunned and bewildered. But good on Spock for doing that.
It was a great moment, and just showing him not just sitting there and being like yes, no, him showing and fighting back, showing his Vulcan side, all that he can be just there, straight, composed, and all that. Just say thank you for this, but this is what I'm noticing, and my mother, who is human, went through all of this, sat through it for years. I admire that.
And like she said to Spock, it's not easy being a human in love with a Vulcan, and here's the ending here. We get this image here, Spock, of course, T'Pring and Spock, of course, have T'Pring decides that we should take time apart from each other, but I think that's probably going to be it for them. We shall see, but so it seems like they've broken up, and obviously the point here, Spock is considering everything, and obviously you knew Nurse Chapel was going to be outside the door there waiting for him. It's like,
oh
yeah. And then the moment here, of course, where he can't hold back any longer, and so basically then she just jumps in, and I just love that part. And then he's like, oh, what do we do? And she's like, shut up. It's just great to end the episode like that. It was awesome. So it's gonna be. Go ahead. I
was gonna say I agree. It was a great way to end the episode, and we all saw this coming. As soon as T'Pring says we shall be on break, Spock was like, it was that nurse from not that long ago. I bet I can go see her and get something.
And even before this, of course, he's sitting there with Pike, in Pike's quarters, and Pike gives him a drink and says, commiseration. It's like, hey, I sympathize with you, man. all this stuff that you gone through today. And it's like Pike, all that Pike went through too. I mean, he's done all that cooking and everything. And it's like at the end there, the T'Pring's father is like, do you have any more of that stuff? And then he like snaps his fingers, and then he's about to get up, and he goes to get it. And then it's like, as he's coming up, it's like, that's when Spock is saying, I was a human doing this. And then he's like, and he turns around and goes back. Yeah, I love that part. I mean, just a great episode, man. I mean, yeah, it was emotional at times. It was humorous at times. And the main theme about cultural differences and how we deal with them, and people coming from different cultural backgrounds and having relationships with one another. Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing episode. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Final thoughts?
I agree with you on that. This was a great episode. Season 2 is still going strong, like season 1, where it's like every episode it's like, oh dang, they're leaving you hooked of like, I want the next episode now. This is kind of one of those things you hate with watching week to week, where you're like, I want the next episode right now. I want to see where this goes, because it's like, how are they going to follow up with this and Spock and Nurse Chapel for the rest of the season? I can't wait to see on that. But like that, this show is really proving that if you take the time and write with good characters and write good scenarios, you can get some great character drama. Character drama is not dead.
Right. Well, let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode, everyone. And we're really excited for next week. Next week's episode is titled Lost in Translation. So maybe that has something to do with Uhura. We shall find out. But so anyway, let us know in the comments. And if you like this episode, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell when we drop another episode of Warp Factor 10. Our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions, as well as all of our other content here on the Arena Production. So I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. Once again, our live stream this coming Saturday, July 15th, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to have a live stream discussion of the first half of Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So all you Star Trek fans out there, come and join us for the discussion. We're really looking forward to doing that and talking with you all. So anyway, take care, everyone, and live long and prosper. See you in the next one. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.